I was called by Lenore Dekoven and I believe Morna Murphy to start another film group, New York Women in Film.
We met in an apartment that Lenore was subletting down in the West Village. And at that particular meeting, we talked about the organization and what it would mean.
When suddenly all the lights went out, it was totally dark. And at first we thought it was a blown fuse, but when we checked outside, we realized that it was a blackout. It was indeed the great blackout of 1977.
But we felt it was a really good omen that we brought New York to a standstill at the first meeting.
The year after that momentous meeting was filled with organizational and administrative work.
And we spent hours talking about what this organization was going to be and what the bylaws were going to be and what the mission was, and it was like the first Continental Congress.
I distinctly remember sitting around Gail Frank's cocktail table trying to organize subcommittees.
This was a natural community for us, and there was a real feeling of women wanting to bring other women in.
We were often running with programs, almost from the very beginning. In March of 79-80, Lois Smith from Marble Arch will discuss Sophie's Choice.
Women who were members would come in and talk about the projects they were doing.
You could have a telephone tree and reach all the members within an hour. And two of them might be in an apartment stamping the newsletter, which was mimeographed in 2 pages. I think it's a little different than that now.
There were 2 milestones when I was president, and the first one was the incorporation of the organization. Of course, the second one was the first election, wherein I replaced myself.
I had the distinct pleasure of hiring our first full-time executive director, Phyllis Schwartz, who saved us from ourselves.
Between 1988 and 1990, we institutionalized the Muse Award. We embraced the idea that there were people who meant a great deal to us and were not just our role models, but our inspiration for the kind of work that we all wanted to do.
When I walk into that ballroom and see 1,100 people for a Christmas lunch, I can't help remembering those little small restaurant lunches so many years ago.
It was held in a little tiny Greenwich Village restaurant, and we were one table.
Well, in a way, I feel like a parent watching a child grow to adulthood.
We as an organization have changed our profile. We were New York Women in Film. We became New York Women in Film and Television. And today our profile includes women in new media.
I think one of the best things we created was that roster. You want an editor, you want a cinematographer, you know, oh wow, there's your home phone number.
I always went to New York Women in Film to hire and always got very, very professional help.
My first job as a scriptwriter came from my co-chair on the program committee.
There was a real need for this organization, which I don't think young women today really have any idea of.
There were tremendous inequities that women had to face back in 1978, and there still are. But you know, that helped us build a strong and committed organization. And the women who got involved early on learned that if we helped each other, we'd all move forward together. It was not just a matter of building an individual career. We were trying to build a community of successful women.
There's no question that some of my strongest, personal and professional connections began with New York Women in Film, and they remain there.
Although I can't point to any one single event, it has been 25 years of friendship, support, knowledge, growth, challenges that really existed nowhere else.
People were so supportive through the organization. It was a comfort zone. I keep meeting these mentors in my life, and these women, sort of filmmakers, producers, activists, and they're like, I remember you. You used to be crawling on the floor during those early New York Women in Film meetings.
Now, I served on the board in 86 and 87, and a few years later, I think it was 92, Barbara told me she was running for the board, and my response was, well, it's about time.
And I became the first second-generation woman to serve on the board of directors, which was something I was enormously proud of. And now we as an organization have another mother-daughter team that have been on the board and really represent 3 generations of women who have now been on the board and are still active in the industry.
I definitely feel a sense of history now because of this 25th year anniversary. I feel that I have this big connection to the past and that I feel incredibly grateful. And I just want to say thank you to all the women who made New York Women in Film what it is, because it gave me the career that I have.